Does the mic need to be turned on?
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's on.
Okay, about 30 seconds. Just 1, 2.
Welcome to the regular meeting of the Bay City ISD Board of Trustees. This is Monday, November the 16th, 2020. It is 7 o'clock in the evening. This meeting is audible to the public on YouTube tonight. Pursuant to Governor Abbott's temporary suspension of open meetings laws issued on March 16, 2020, and consistent with new state and local mandates on public health and social distancing, this regular meeting of the Bay City ISD Board of Trustees will be conducted in the boardroom at the administration office, which will be audible to the public at the link I just spoke of, provided at the top of this notice, which is the agenda. The quorum of the Board of Trustees will be physically present at one location, but for safety reasons, we will not be permitting in-person attendance by members of the public or staff. Public was given the opportunity to submit comments for review by the board through the administrative assistant to the superintendent, Linda Estrada, and her email address. Did we have any, Linda?
No, sir.
We did not receive any as of 6 p.m. today. This meeting is now called to order. And before we do the invocation, I'm going to take a roll call for present. Cleatac here, Nelson here, DeWitt here, Spartamine here, Tennant here, Manning here, Cole. We do have 6 trustees here giving us the quorum. So we will now have the invocation, and I'll ask the Reverend Leroy Cunningham to deliver that at this time. Please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come tonight to give thanks to you, Lord. I ask tonight that you would give the hearts and the minds of those guidance as they serve. Lord, I ask that you would impart your supreme wisdom upon this school board so that all of our school affairs may have a successful conclusion. Now, Lord, I ask you to bless our outgoing board members and their family, and now I ask you to bless our incoming board members and their family. Let them all govern with fairness and grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Father, bless our superintendent, our faculty, our students, and our parents. And Lord, we ask you all of these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have our 2 new board members take the oath of office, be administered by Administrative Assistant Linda Estrada.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of school board trustee for the Bay City Independent School District of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
I, Mark West,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of school board trustee
of school board trustee
for the Bay City Independent School District
of the Bay City Independent School District
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best
and will to the best
of my ability
of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
we must say thank you to trustees that have made an impact on the school board. Trustee Manning has been on this board for 3 years. Served as secretary for the last year and a half. Trustee Manning was also an advocate for teachers and students. He never wavered from his convictions and usually was boisterous in stating his position. He was a team player, even when discussions did not go his way, which should be the standard by which we all serve. I had the privilege to sit in front of him at the Wharton football game this year and witness how a Black Cat fan should support the team. My ears remember it well. Trustee Manning, please accept this small token of our appreciation for your service. And I'd like to say that I enjoyed serving alongside.
I want to say thanks to everyone that supported me as I tried my best to play a positive role in the district. And this one small message to the team members coming on board. It's kind of reminded of Dr. King last time. He said, if you want to be great, yes, sir. Kind of remember that. Don't keep it.
Trustee Cole is not here present tonight, so I'm going to have this to say about her. Trustee Frankie Cole, who has boldly made her presence felt through her actions and words for the past 6 years. She was the vice president for the last year and a half. Trustee Cole showed a sincere desire to help make Bay City ISD a peer district by advocating for both teachers and students, and was not shy about stating what she saw as needing improvement. She was a strong voice for the Bay City community. I will always admire, and we all should, her strength and commitment to continue to fulfill her role on this board, even with the personal medical struggles she has undergone the last several years. Frankie, you are a role model. And we also have a token of appreciation for Ms. Cole. At this time, I'll ask our new trustees to take their seats. I'd like to state that we still have a quorum here tonight. As a matter of fact, we now have 7 trustees. Next item on the agenda is reorganize the board of trustees. We do not have a vice president. I will run this part of the meeting. At this time, I'll ask for nominations for either a president or a slate of officers.
I'll nominate James for president.
Okay. Brett has nominated James for president. Are there any other nominations? Trustee Nelson?
Yeah, I nominate Cole. nominate Bob Peters because Bob really is one of the experience, that's how he. Yeah, I'm. So, I think Bob President, I see. DeWitt, Vice President, and I say, Gary, President, and Secretary.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
Bob, it's either president or a slate.
Either or.
There's no nomination just for a secretary, or just for a vice president.
Well, that depends on what happens on the vote on these two nominations. We have to vote on these nominations. Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Trent for vice president, John for secretary, and James for president.
Okay, say that again.
James, president. Trent, vice president. Mr. DeWitt, secretary.
Okay. That's your nomination. Bob, President, James Scarby, Vice President, Trent. What? Me for President, James for Vice President, and Trent for Secretary. Okay, are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Last call. Are there any other nominations? Okay. We'll take the first nomination, and that was James Scarby, President. We'll do a voice, vote on that one. Clepac, no. Nelson?
No.
DeWitt?
Yes.
Scarby?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
Robinson? West?
Yes.
That's 4-3, for James as president. Okay, we're gonna go with the, Coach Nelson's, nomination. That would be me as president, Vitt, vice president, Scarby, secretary. Voice vote. Clepac, yes. Nelson?
Yes.
DeWitt?
No.
Scarby?
No.
Denham?
No.
Robinson? Say yes. West?
No.
Okay, that's 4-3 loss. Now we'll go to, trustee West's nomination, which is James Scarby, president, Trent Denham, vice president, John DeWitt, secretary. Clepac, no. Nelson? DeWitt?
Yes.
Scarby?
Yes.
Denham? Yes. Robinson? West?
Yes.
Finally, we'll go with, to, trustee Robinson's nomination. Clepac, president, Scarby, vice president, and secretary. Clepac, no. Nelson?
No.
DeWitt? He is president. James Carter,
No.
Dennis, Robinson, West.
No.
Okay, by a 4-3 vote. The new president is James Starkman. New vice president is Trent Tennant, and your secretary is John Wood.
Do I take the meeting over?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd just like to thank the board for the trust that you placed in me. That's a big deal. I don't take it lightly. My heart's racing. I'm excited for what the future holds for Bay City ISD. Nothing bad to say. I mean, Bob has done an incredible job, and we have made tremendous strides. And so I look forward to continuing to work with Bob. Bob, I'm gonna need your help a lot. So, and I look forward to putting this district ahead. My love has been and always will be for children, my children, your children, well-being, the safety, the education of them. We put that first and foremost before we do anything else. So, with that being said, thank you. Item 6, audience with patrons. The public had an opportunity to submit comments, and we've already determined that there were no comments, correct, Linda?
Yeah.
Item 7, monthly bond project update report. Presenter Christine Walker with Lakeland and Associates.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Progress to date, we've completed the overall roof system. The only item remaining for that is detailing the parapets after the brick is installed. Over the last month, they've continued damp proofing, the exterior insulation installation. They've continued electrical and plumbing rough-in and low voltage and data wiring routing, and they've continued ductwork installation. The majority of the storefront window frame and glass has been installed. There's other, with the exception of a few frames that they're strategically waiting on to get access up to the second floor. And they've also continued the interior wall system installation, and they began the first coat of paint in areas A and B, and began framing for the exterior ACM panels. As of today, they've actually started installing those panels. As they're still working towards that next big milestone of having the building dried in and working on getting some of that completed, and just continuing with interior wall system installation, continue painting. They're set to begin interior tile installation, starting with the group restrooms. And then they are also going to be beginning the installation of the kitchen, cooler, and freezer. Is there anything that y'all have questions on regarding Lenny Roberts?
When is the brick scheduled to be delivered?
The latest, I have not said it. The latest that they've heard, they're basically giving them a large window. They said early November, which that has passed, to late November. I think the brick plant was quoting some COVID related issues. I think they're getting the brown and the gray brick, and then a week later is when the white brick is supposed to arrive. So if the current schedule holds, they should be getting that by the end of the month. Though they have said that that brick is not currently holding up or delaying anything, or I guess impacting I guess the main critical path for the construction schedule.
Christine, John over here, got a quick question. You know, the hiccups that we had with Tenny Homes, have those already started to be streamlined and addressed and everything with Lenny Roberts?
Yeah, so the MEP engineer and the commissioning team we're setting up a visit for around early to mid-December for them to come out to do their overhead inspection and start doing that process early on the school. We actually have a different test and balance team as well on this project to try and help speed along that process so that we can get a lot of the work done up front is the goal. And so we're not doing it all at the end. Are there any other questions on Lenny Roberts?
Just a comment for the board, and to trustee DeWitt's point, you know, we'll still have Roberts open. So until we have everything complete at the new school, everything regulated like it needs to be, we won't move. So if that's not done by August, we won't rush it in. And I would take the Thanksgiving break to move, or we can take the winter break. And they have a lot of places.
But right now, they are still on schedule for August, right?
Christine, what's the scheduled completion date?
Let me see here. I don't want to misquote. So the date that they gave us, not the meeting today, but 2 weeks ago, was substantial completion was going to be around the end of April. And then test and balance, commissioning, final punch list, those were all going, those would happen after the substantial completion date. And then so final completion was mid-July is what the schedule is currently showing.
That's the final after the punch list and everything?
Yes.
Dr. Scott, would we wait until that completes until we start moving, or do we move? No, when do we make that decision?
Where we're gonna move now?
Right.
How
How far along do they have to be before we make it? You know what I mean?
actually, when we moved in the home, they were at the April dates that she mentioned, it was complete, so I go back to the punch list stuff.
But we moved in then, and Tenny Home still isn't done. So that might not have been the best strategy to go forward with that.
Right. So if you're asking for a drop dead date,
No, not a day, just how far along does they need to be in their process before we would consider moving in? Like, they need to be finished with the punch list, they need to be at, I don't remember what terms you.
I'm gonna say finish with the punch list, so we don't run to the physical residence around that home. And again, if they're not done with that by really truly by mid-July, then we shouldn't try to move in, we don't run into the same try to get it home. So I'm gonna say everything needs to be done by mid-July, which will give teachers a couple of weeks to get themselves prepared and give us August as well. But if not, we'll just hold off.
Okay. And then quick update on the other campuses, junior high, Teeny Homes, and Stadium. Weaver and Jacobs has sent back to Delta T their sign off. So we're just waiting on Delta T to sign off for their test and balance and the commissioning team. They did have an agent from the test and balance team out there last week. And so we're just trying to get, I think Weaver and Jacobs is waiting on a date for when the commissioning agent is going to be out there again to make sure that everything's signed off. At the stadium, we have the stretch fabric. They're sending a color sample just to make sure that it is the correct color because it is a custom color. And so after we approve the color, it's 2-week lead time to manufacture the project. And then it's 1 week each side. 1 week for the home bleachers, 1 week for the visitors bleachers for the actual construction of it or installation. The field events, they have started. They've poured the pole vault and one of the long jump pits. And they were working today on some of the dirt work, and they should be pouring, have the rest of the events poured out by the end of this week. And then Bynum should be coming in to doing the top coat. The championship plaques, they have had some movement on those again after some COVID shutdowns. It's looking about the first week of December when those will be on site to be installed. And I think that is everything. that I've been giving y'all updates on those campuses. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, can you, maybe remind me that first, project you were talking about?
Uh,
Yeah,
Bay City Lenny Roberts Elementary School.
yeah, you said something about they were coming, you was right before the stadium, right before the campus. You started.
Oh, Bay City Junior High School, Teeny Holmes Elementary, and then the stadium.
Okay. All right, and then what I wanted to ask you about, again, I know you mentioned about the campus for the stadium, because last meeting you said it was gonna be November 4th that y'all were gonna start putting that on, and then you just said, was there a hiccup or is there a problem with it not being started yet?
I'm sorry, on which item? The stretch fabric?
Yes, the stretch back.
I'd have to check with Weaver and Jacobs exactly why the delay. I know they're wanting to have just that official sign off on the color is what they told me today. I don't know if the manufacturer had some pushback that they didn't have that official signed off color, but I can check with Weaver and Jacobs and follow up with you all exactly why the delay has happened.
I'm gonna chime in here. What Christine is explaining, it's what Weaver and Jacobs told us today is that the manufacturer won't release the fabric until the custom color is approved. If it had been a color that they had on site, they would have been start installation already. But they want to make sure that the color is correct before they fabric the stretch fabric and deliver it to the site.
Okay, so that wasn't already discussed, the color, so they're gonna have to sign off on it? I'm just trying to understand, because if we order something, I figured, the color would already be acknowledged, everything would already be selected. But you're saying they're gonna have to sign off on it to acknowledge that that is the correct color?
So from the color that was selected, they're creating a piece of fabric to that color so that it gets approved. So you get that exact color there.
It's
So
not one of their standard factory made colors. It's a custom one to try and match some of the other fabrics that we've used on the other projects.
And so, as of right now, we don't have the time frame.
I'm sorry?
I was saying, as of right now, we don't have a time frame on that?
So what Dallas explained to us, once they're gonna overnight the sample that was created, once it's overnighted to Dallas, then if it's before the next meeting, they'll send it to us. If not, we'll see it the next meeting. Next meeting is scheduled for November 30th, Monday, November 30th. After it gets signed off, it is 2 weeks for production and then 2 weeks for installation, 1 week on the home side, 1 week on the visitor side.
Are there any other questions for Christine or Christina?
Are y'all gonna get around to the track and field part of the stadium, or are you through with your stadium report?
Yeah,
Sorry,
so the field events have started. They started construction on those. The pole vault and one of the long jump pits are poured. And then they're pouring out the rest of the events by the end of this week. And then after all the concrete is poured, the sport surfacing company is going to come out and do the top coat on those pads.
Christine, you said something earlier about Tenny Holmes and the junior high waiting to get some things signed off. I know that like Tenny Holmes still has like several offices and storage cabinets and stuff like that don't have electricity. plugs don't work, things like that. Is that included in that checkoff list, or when are those type of things gonna get done?
We have not been notified of those items. I can discuss it with the district tomorrow and see what items are punch list related style items that Weaver and Jacobs needs to address, and what is more maintenance or just ongoing district related items.
Okay.
Scott, that has not been on the punch list as an album. We're not, that's not about to be addressed.
Were you aware of that?
No, we're not aware of that.
I know I talked to a couple of teachers and coach at Tenny Homes, and whenever I was delivering the bounce houses for their event up there a week or so ago, and he said that he couldn't keep them on site at their storage closet because none of the receptacles or anything were in their works. They're still waiting for them to get hooked up. Who was he? Coach Anderson.
So none of this has been brought to my attention. I'm trying to see if it's been brought to the management.
Right. Okay. Well, I was just trying to make sure that we weren't, signing something off and it's not done yet. So I just want to make sure we got all the. Is Ms. Hagan on the call? Does she know about any of this?
I am here and I do not have those concerns. They've not been brought to my attention. We did a punch list about a month and a half ago, and Weaver and Jacobs took care of our punch list items, and Mr. Colbreth has taken care of everything that we've needed so far beyond our punch list. So that's something I can discuss with Coach Anderson, but we don't have closets without electricity. I'm not aware of any of those things either. So that's something I would need to discuss with him.
Okay, so it sounds like at the very least it's very small scale. So I just wanted to make sure we weren't moving on without everything getting done.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Christine? Hearing none, thank you very much for your update.
Thank you. And I just wanted to also, I think y'all already saw Christina, but she is back from her maternity leave. And so we are starting that transition back to her as the lead project manager or main point person for y'all's district. So.
Congratulations, Christina.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Moving to item 8, items of business. A, approval of the 2020-2021 auditor's report. Presenter Kevin Cadenhead and Lee Liu. Did I say that right?
Yeah, this is Kevin.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I take an opportunity to talk about the audit process, how the audit went. I'm going to go through just a few things in the audit report itself to point your attention to. And then, of course, if there's any questions along the way, certainly be happy to answer those. Just a reminder to all of you, especially to the new board members, this is our second year to act as the outside auditors. We are KM&L certified public accountants, have offices in Lake Jackson, El Campo, Angleton, and we just finished our first full year in Bay City. So very happy to have that first full year in an office in Bay City. I think the best way to sum up the audit, how it went, is the second year certainly is always much better than the first year with an auditor coming in. You have those first year auditor blues with the auditors trying to figure out, sort of how the district is functioning. And the district itself is trying to figure out what the auditor's expectations are. And in that first year, we always invariably have things where we ask people for information. And they're like, no one's ever asked me for this ever before. And so second year, obviously, coming in, we had expectations that things would go much smoother, and they did. Compare and contrast, first year was not bad. We had no audit issues to report. So compare that to the second year, which was a very smooth audit process. Again, that learning curve on both sides certainly makes a huge difference. So with that said, we don't have any specific audit findings. I'm going to talk to you about what some of that means in a few more specific points, but nothing that I need to bring to your attention as a board that is a significant deficiency or a control weakness that we would deem as being an actual audit finding, okay? So you should have in front of you, hopefully, the blue financial statement report. And I'm going to flip to a few pages and tell you what page we're on and just point out a few items to you. So if you could go in that report to page 11, it's 11, 12, and 13. And if we get off or confused about what page we're on, just please stop me. So this is what is called our independent auditor's report. It's one of 3 letters that are in your audited financial statements that come from and literally belong to us as the auditors. The rest of the financial statements belong to you as the district. And this independent auditor's report is what's referred to in the actual opinion, which is at the top of page 12, as an unmodified opinion. An unmodified opinion basically tells the reader that we, the auditors, have audited the financial statements, and what you're about to read is accurate. There's nothing else that you need to know in terms of modifications or exceptions. It's been audited and it's materially correct. The remainder of the independent auditor's report talks about other sections of the audited financial statements and schedules and the extent of audit coverage that exists on each of those. So just take it to be that this letter is a standard letter. It reflects, again, no modifications. It's a clean opinion. Starting on page 18, page 15 is what's referred to as management's discussion and analysis. This is a summarized version of the financial statements. It gives the reader some context to read through and comparative information prior to actually getting into the financial statements. If you would turn to page 17, you'll see a table down there at the bottom of that page. It says the district's net position. And I think with all the things that are going on in the district currently, with a lot of the construction projects that are happening, the financial statements speak very well of the district and the improvements that are being made. So let's just look at this as an example, this table. If you'll go to the bottom of that table, it says total net position. Comparing the most recent completed year to the prior year, you can see that the net position decreased by approximately $2 million. You can think of net position as equity, like equity in a home. It's the difference between the assets that you have, the value of the assets you have, and how much you owe for those assets. So if we move back up, we say, okay, our equity went down $2 million. If we go back up to the second line where it says capital assets, you can see that a significant amount of capital assets have been added to the financial statements. That we know that. We just got through talking about projects and project updates. As we move down to where it says long-term liabilities, you can see that our debt also increased significantly. We had a $22 million debt issuance in the most recent past fiscal year, and I'll show you how that plays out in the financial statements. So the long and short of it is that the district is spending down previously received funds from debt on construction projects. And at this point in time, when this picture was taken, there was a little bit more debt brought in that had been spent on assets at that point. Okay, so nothing alarming. It basically is telling the story of what's going on in the district. Continuing on, I'm going to have you flip back to page 28. Page 28 is the governmental funds balance sheet. And again, you'll as you guys get to know me, you know that on financial statements, I like to go to the bottom right-hand corner. That's typically where I start. So if we go to the bottom right-hand corner, that's total fund balance. If you'll see the number there, 36,385,096. That's the total fund balance at the end of the last fiscal year for the district. Now, the way that you manage the district as a board and as administration is we budget, we have a tax rate, we bring funds in through taxes and other projects, programs and other federal monies that come in, and then we spend according to that budget. And so that's the basis of these financial statements. And so you can see the funds across the top of the financial statements. And if you'll go to that general fund where it says unassigned fund balance, 11,868,520. So that's your fund balance that's basically sitting there. I'm going to call it the reserve, okay? You'll also see that moving over 2 columns to capital project fund, we've got 21,112 sitting there in the capital project fund. That's the amount of proceeds that are currently at the end of the fiscal year still unspent. So those are kind of 2 significant items on the financial statements. So going back to the general fund balance, the question is, yes, that's a reserve. But is that enough? Is it good? How does it stack up in the world of where should we be with unassigned fund balance? Well, one of the things we look at, if you'll flip over to page 30, kind of got you moving around a little bit here, is we're going to look at the total expenditures for the general fund, which if you'll move down about 2/3 down the page, it's 37,448,905. So we go back and we look at that fund balance, 11 million versus the 37 million. And we do a calculation and we realize that that's about almost 4 months. It's about 3.8 or 9 months of reserve. Okay, so keep that number in mind. And typically in school district funding, you want to be in between that 3 to 6 or 7 month range. That's kind of the sweet spot. When you start to get to the 12 and over, then the TEA and others might be questioning where you're at with that unassigned fund balance. And we might also look at some things in terms of how we might assign fund balance if we're at that point. So the whole premise of what I'm trying to relay to you is that your fund balance reserve on your general fund is adequate. I mean, there's not something that we need to point out as needing to build the reserve. You could over time look at building that a little bit more if you wanted to, but there's nothing coming from the auditor that's saying that you have a problem with fund balance. Still on page 30, you can also see 2 other significant numbers. Again, under the capital project fund column, about 2/3 of the way down, you see capital outlay, 26.6 million. So that's what was spent on projects in the last fiscal year. And then moving down to where it says issuance of bonds, that's additional bond proceeds that came in during the year, 22.145. Okay, so again, I told you the spend down on those funds was a little bit more than the new debt that came in. So that fund balance went down by 4 million. Now, certainly over time, we would expect the fund balance on the capital project fund to go towards 0 as we spend all the funds on those capital projects. The next thing I'm going to do is jump back just to a couple more pages, and then I'll open it up for questions. If you'll go to page 58, at the bottom of the page, in a strange way, this is my favorite schedule in the financial statements. This is a long-term debt schedule, and it just gives you a real quick picture of what the debt was at the beginning of the year, July 1, 19, what was added to debt, the debt payments that were made or changes to reduce debt, and then what the resulting debt balance. So we talked about at the very beginning that we had debt and we increased debt, and you can see that 22.2 million of various debt that came in with a debt payment of $2,540,000 made during the year. So that's just a really good quick schedule to flip to and look at the debt position. Last couple of letters I want to point you to are on page 105 and 106. These are the remaining 2 letters that are from our firm. The first one is a report that's required, and it's telling the board whether or not there's any deficiencies over financial reporting. So any controls over financial reporting that have deficiencies. And it goes through and talks about what a significant deficiency is and what a material weakness is. And then it goes on to say there are none. So this is a clean letter. There's nothing that we need to report that's a significant deficiency or a material weakness in financial reporting control. The next letter is on page 107. And this letter is an opinion on whether or not the district is in compliance with federal program spending. So we go through and we do an audit of federal programs for compliance, not just financial, but for complete compliance. And the programs are audited on a rotating schedule depending on the size of the program and the last time the program was audited. The bottom of that page 107 says that in our opinion, the district complied in all material respects with all the compliance requirements. So there's no issues with federal program compliance. And over on page 109 in item number 7, it shows you that IDEA Part B are the federal programs that came up on the schedule for program compliance testing during this past audit year. There is one additional letter that goes to the board that I'm not going to go into detail on. It is what I call the Enron letter. So maybe that'll help you remember it, but it's a letter that's required by auditing standards that came about after Enron, where there are prescribed categories in that letter, and we're required to tell you basically if anything went wrong during the audit. And I'm just here to tell you that letter is standard as well. It basically says that we as an auditor had a plan and management cooperated with that plan, and we were able to execute our audit in accordance with the plan. We are required, because of the extent of the audit entries that we did make, to include those on the back, certainly not for going into any detail. It just gives you kind of the breadth of the audit adjustments that are made to the underlying books and records to get the financial statements. There is, last but not least, what we call a client advisory letter that goes to Dr. Scott. And it's a continuous improvement letter. It's here's some things that we found that that management can continue to work on to continuously improve. Again, these are not at all audit findings. So probably a whole lot more than you wanted to hear from me. We do, again, appreciate the opportunity to serve Bay City ISD. We're extremely happy with the result of the audit and look forward to the future. Happy to answer any questions.
Kevin, thank you for that very thorough explanation. I heard we're in compliance and there are no deficiencies. Thank you for making some recommendations on improvements. Do any board members have any questions for Kevin?
Clean audit is always a good audit.
Yep. I think everybody's side of relief there. Okay, moving on. Under items of business B, closed session, consultation with legal counsel regarding contract negotiations on pending sale of real property located at 2417 16th Street, Bay City, Texas. The board will now convene into closed session pursuant to I will entertain a motion for the approval of the auditor's report. Bob Klepak made a motion to approve. John DeWitt second the motion to approve the 2020-2021 auditor's report. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. Bob?
Yes.
Priscilla? John?
Yes.
Eddie? Coach? Trent? Yes. James? Yes. Mark?
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. I get to read B off again. Items of business 8B, closed session, consultation with legal counsel regarding contract negotiations on the pending sale of real property located at 2417 16th Street, Bay City, Texas. The board will now convene in a closed session pursuant to Government Code 551.071 and 551.072 at 7:50 p.m. live now?
Yes, sir.
And we're back on YouTube. Welcome back, everyone. We will now convene back into open session at 8:33. Item 8C, open session, possible action on items discussed in closed session. Does any board member have a motion to make?
Mr. President, I move to authorize the superintendent and legal counsel to proceed as discussed in closed session on contract negotiations related to the sale of real property located at 2417 16th Street.
Motion was made by Bob Cleapack. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was seconded by Trent Tenon. Take a voice vote. Cleapack,
Yes.
Robinson, DeWitt,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Tenon. Yes. Scarnamite, yes. West.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. Item 8D, discuss and possible approval of the proposal for design instructions and WPI 8 certification for a completed construction project for Bay City High School as prepared by Lynn Engineering. Rick Johnson.
Good evening. Previous two meetings, we tabled this item as far as to proceed with the inspection of Bay City High School. So at the last meeting, I was instructed and asked to do some research as to what had happened 20 plus years ago. And so because Trustee DeWitt had brought up some points we wanted to clarify. So the Texas Department of Insurance, the Windstorm Association, which is a subsidiary of Texas Department of Insurance, received a completed inspection report, did not receive a completed inspection report for the construction of Bay City High School back in 2001. They had a record that it had, I guess the file had started, but actually they had no record of a payment being received by the Department of Insurance. And we also looked in our files from 20 years ago, and I was able to obtain the boxes on the construction of the high school, and there was nothing in those boxes that warranted or linked to the application being made with the Texas Windstorm Insurance, and no money changed hands between Bay City ISD and the Texas Windstorm Association, Department of Insurance. And so the Texas Windstorm Association stated that the post-construction engineer had been removed from the file. That's when she looked in there, she said, that's what it says, engineer removed from the file. And the WPI-2, which is the inspection verification form, was not received. So what it boils down to is that there's no record that a payment was made, no record that a report was done back at that point. So that's what I discovered on that. So again, we're bringing this same action item on the agenda to see if we want to proceed on with the inspection, WPI-8 inspection of the new high school. Currently, right now, there's no windstorm file, I guess, for the high school. So, any questions?
I think that answers all of our questions, Rick. I mean, because that's what we really wanted to initially know is the payment was made to Texas Department of Insurance and the WPI-2. We now know that that deal did not happen, so we just need to go ahead and proceed from here. Or at least that's my opinion. We need to go ahead and proceed and get the certificate on the completed structure for the high school. So it doesn't put us in a bind if Texas Windstorm is the actual, or becomes the only insurer for windstorm in the state again. Because then that happens. We're with the private party right now. We could be stuck without having windstorm insurance in the high school.
Correct, as I understand. Yes, sir.
Is there any more questions for Rick? Is there a motion to be made?
I'll make the motion that we approve the proposal for design inspection and WPI certification for completed construction projects High School that's prepared by Lynn Engineering.
Motion's been made by trustee Cleapack. Is there a second to his motion? Motion's been seconded by trustee DeWitt. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. Cleapack,
Yes.
Robinson, DeWitt,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Scarnamo, yes. West.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. Item 8E, Bay City ISD COVID District Update, presented by Kelly Hunt.
Good evening. How are you guys this afternoon?
Great.
Welcome. My name is Kelly Hunt, and I am the district COVID coordinator for Bay City ISD. And tonight I'm going to be presenting our district COVID dashboard. You all should have a copy of this in your board minutes. The data that has been collected since the end of August in 2020. It contains data from all campuses and all departments from the district. The data that's been collected is broken down by our student population as well as by our employee population. And then we also have data that's combined together. As of November, first of all, I'm going to go over the student data. As of November the 12th, 2020, we currently have 3,538 students enrolled at Bay City ISD. A contact tracing is completed on each student that we have a lab confirmed positive. Bay City ISD currently has 214 students quarantined. These students have been identified as close contacts and have either been quarantined or strongly recommended to quarantine following TEA guidelines. Since August, we have had a total of 517 students quarantined across the district due to close contact. And currently we have 9 positive cases in our student population at Bay City ISD. The staff data includes all, campuses and departments throughout the district. The district has approximately 550 employees. And anytime we get a lab confirmed positive, we also do a contact tracing on that individual. Currently, Bay City ISD has 25 staff members quarantined due to close contact tracings. Since August, our cumulative count for the district and our staff is 51 quarantined to close contact. We currently have 6 confirmed positive cases involving staff. And when we look at the data as a whole for the district, we have a total of 30 lab confirmed COVID positive cases, and we currently have 15 cases. Now, this information is as of last week, and we do, it's a live document. It changes regularly. And so that's basically what we're looking at in our district and with our district numbers. And so thank you for entrusting me with working with COVID, and it's been a journey, and we're constantly changing. We're constantly looking at data, and we're constantly looking at new mitigation strategies and changes that TEA might have. And so those are basically our numbers. We'll be changing those weekly. On Thursday, we'll be updating those, is what I understand. And so if anyone has any questions at this time.
I just have a comment. Kelly, I've heard incredible things about you and your team and everything you're doing with the contact tracing. So thank you for your efforts. It seems like we have a low instance of cases, and that can directly be related to your effort in quarantining individuals as you do that contact tracing. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
But I do want to ask you about occur, how often are they on our website? Do you, I guess, notify only those people in that suffer, say like the families that are being quarantined? Or do we as a community, do everybody know about this? Or just the people that are being quarantined?
So if I understand your question correctly, you're asking who is notified when we have a positive case? So anytime we receive a positive case at the district level, whether it be an employee or a student, that information is very confidential. Not only because of HIPAA, but because of all the guidelines that we as school district employees have to follow. So we do not make that information public. We do notify the parent, and I do a personal interview with the parent and the student. And then we meet individually with our staff members, and our staff members have done an excellent job of making sure that they have their classroom rosters, they have notes on where the kids are sitting. And so we go over mitigation policy. We look at classroom, our classroom, where is the kid sitting, where is everybody at? And so that information is not shared publicly.
I'm not asking you about names of those. I'm just saying, do you notify, like we get phone calls. The district that I'm in, we get phone calls from the superintendent saying there has been a case of COVID. Do we get those calls here in Bay City saying there's a case? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am,
Not
we
the
do.
name of the kid, not that kind of information, but that is a case.
Yes, ma'am, we do notify all staff and students. First of all, we notify a close contact. We notify any student personally that has been identified as a close contact. Secondly, we identify students that may be in a secondary risk pool. Those students would be considered in the same classroom, but not considered a close contact. And those parents receive a phone call, and then the district as a whole, wherever the facility that we're dealing with the tracing goes, that there's a call out, a notification every time we have a case. Yes, ma'am.
But on the district website, is that listed on the district website as well? I guess that's what I'm asking.
My name's Greg Garrett, I'm the Chief Communications Officer of the Health and Nurse Conference.
So is it listed on the website?
We are going to put this document on the website tomorrow morning, and we'll update it once a week.
Okay, so it is updated. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I guess that answers my question, because if, I guess maybe I'm not making myself clear. What I'm asking is, just like Matagorda, when it was a case of the COVID, you used to get an update from Matagorda County saying that it's a case somewhere in Matagorda County. So I'm asking you, Kelly, when there's a case within this district, as a parent of a kid that's in high school, whether it be my kid, your kid, or any kid, do I know that it's a kid in our district that has COVID?
So I can jump in here.
You can, do I know that, Dr. Scott?
But the answer to that would be, it depends.
On what?
If your kid is the kid who tests positive, or if they're a close contact, or if you're a teacher.
So only that kid?
Yes, will we
No
notify?
one else knows that?
Let me ask you a question. Do we notify the entire school district that we have a case at the junior high school? The answer is no.
No, okay.
The answer is
And
no.
that answers my
No,
question.
and we're following the protocols and guidelines that are given to us by TDA and CDC.
Okay, so that answers my question. Okay.
But I think this document will help, because I know like on social media, of course, everybody's speculating and rumors, but this will be.
Yeah, so we haven't posted this to the website because we wanted to share it with the board first. And this is something that Nurse Hunt and her team have added to the protocol to keep people up to date. I know there's some rumors out there.
That bothers me because.
Hold on one second.
it's rumors.
Mr. President?
Okay.
All right, so there are rumors that are out there saying that we have 200, 300 students who been tested positive. So we can mitigate the talk and the gossip. We're gonna post this, and again, it's gonna be updated weekly, so you'll have that. But as part of the protocol and the safety protocol that we have in place, we notify any and every person at the school, in the business, the section, in this building, wherever it may be. If you're next to somebody who's positive, and I'm not gonna try and use medical language, but close contact does an absolutely thorough job with that. And then she shifts over to Grant, our communication chief, to where he's placing calls. Some are automated, some are in person, to where we're contacting all the people who were involved. Yes.
So this current positive cases of 9, that means that those 9 people had close contact with 214 students.
The current number of positive student cases
Yeah,
are
so
9.
it's
That
9.
means that we have currently 9 students that have been positive for COVID.
Right, and we have 214 quarantine. That means they were in close contact with a positive student, right?
Correct, so they were
Those
either,
9 students had positive or had close contact with 214 individuals, and that's why that number is so high, I guess.
No, not necessarily. That's cumulative, the top number. So you may have had one of the 9
No, that
students.
says current.
Cumulative 500.
So you may have had 9, you may have had one of the 9 kids who may have been next to, let's say 3 of the 214. Then you may have had one of the 9 students who may have been close to 25.
Right, but the 9 kids total have come in contact with a total of 214 kids, and that's why we have 214 at home.
So that would be close contact could be student and teacher.
Right. Well, this just says students. The employees are down in the next section, right?
so understand that initially when, if I can
Sure.
initially, when we started doing contact tracing from the guidelines that we have set forth by TEA,
Right.
initially we were told that any student that came in close contact, and there's very specific parameters for that, had to be sent home.
Right.
On November the 5th, that mitigation practice changed, and the TEA changed that practice. And so parents now, if a child is deemed as close contact, if they are not positive themselves, they're deemed as close contact, the parent has the choice whether their child can stay at school or their child has to go home.
So this
Only
number-
in close contact.
This number could be potentially higher than close contact people. Those are the people that chose to be.
Just started.
That just started last week.
Oh, okay, all right. And then it's down here at the bottom, it says, current number of positive cases for like students and employees is 15. And then it says cumulative is 30. Is that 15 included in that 30?
There's a total of 30,
Right.
and then we have
And that
15.
includes the 15 current.
Yes,
So that means right now, normally you're only positive for 2 weeks. So, or in that, I'm not trying to be a doctor or anything, but in that range or whatever. So we've pretty much doubled our total number of cases for the year in the past 2 weeks.
the numbers have gone up since November, the end of October, I will tell you that. They're going up countywide, they're going up statewide, and they're going up community-wide as well as in our school.
Is there any way that we could see, like, is there, like, did 12 of these cases come from the junior high? Like, maybe we need to look into doing something different there, but all the rest of the schools are doing a really good job or something, or is this pretty even across the board, or?
So I'll answer that question. We have more cases at the high school and at the junior high than at any other level. But if you all want the numbers broken out by school, then we'll do that for you. But I will tell you, and this is not my medical opinion, but you can actually see how low the number is per student.
Right, no, I think we're doing a good job,
And then when you look at the look at the teacher ratio, it's a little higher. And I will tell you the mitigation strategies we have in place for our students and how well our students are following them
is a testament to the work that this board has done, and then our kids actually being compliant with what we're asking them to do. And I was going to talk about this a little later. What we have to do is with the adults, and I can't give you the one-on-one because Kelly and I tried to figure it out because we don't know where you actually can become positive. But I will tell you that just looking at some of the cases from where we've had a positive adult in the organization, and then those who may have gone to quarantine and then later pop up, and then now you've been in close contact, really close contact, either having lunch or socializing without a mitigation strategy. We're having more cases of that happening. And I know Trustee DeWitt, you asked, well, with the kids who've actually gone to quarantine, out of all of these numbers who may have been in close contact with another student, and how many of those actually come back positive? We can't really give you, we can probably give you a number, but we can't really say that it's because they were in close contact with that person or that adult. But let's be clear. I've seen kids who've gone on to quarantine. I've seen them in Walmart. I've seen them out running around and having a good time. So we can't put the one-to-one, but we can tell you where we've actually identified the cases. And mostly, the larger number has been at the junior high school. And let me just say, we've had germ blasts out here with some company that we actually use to disinfect the district quarterly, along with our custodial team. They were out here to disinfect the entire district this weekend.
Yeah. So.
Yes, sir.
Do we know of any positive cases since this report's come out, just students or children? I mean, students or teachers?
Yes, we do. I actively am working on some new cases today. That number changes, and I will tell you that immediately when we're notified of a case, the first thing I do is talk to the parent, of course, and get the lab confirmation, and then I notify Mr. Colbert and our disinfection crew here on our campuses, and they've done an excellent job. Even if we think we have a potential case, they go in and clean the classrooms, we move kids around, and then get them back into their classroom. Yes, sir. Did you have something, Mr. Colbert?
Oh, I'm curious too, since we've implemented the give parents a choice, have you seen one way or the other parents deciding to keep their kids in school or take them out? I mean,
That's probably a principal question, and to be honest with you, we haven't been doing it long enough to kind of measure it. We'll look at it.
Just curious what decision the parents are making first.
I will say some parents, initially, a lot of parents were very gung ho about that. And they were like, we're gonna let our kids go back to school. But because the community rise, I think parents are listening to the news a little bit more and looking at what's happening in our county and taking into account the efficacy of that. And it's not always the best choice, but with that in mind, we have to allow parents to make that choice.
Oh, yes. And I, one more thing, I would say, again, with the practices that we have in place, the mitigation strategies, the safety protocols that we have in place, and again, I'm going out on a limb because I don't have any data to support this, is that our school environments are sanitized daily. Like our kids are wearing the masks, our kids are using the hand sanitizer. They're doing all of the things that are necessary. And I would say for the larger part, the majority of our employees are doing that as well. However, just because we're notified at the school and we have to take this approach, doesn't necessarily mean that this student or even the adult that they became positive at the school. This is a community concern. And if we're not addressing this outside of the community as well, then the numbers are going to go up. And again, we've had Halloween, we have Thanksgiving that's coming up, so we're going to have families together, and you can almost project what could possibly happen. So don't want to make it seem as though the school is not a safe environment, but we're going to report accurately when we have cases. We're going to mitigate like we've been doing. We're going to recommend the quarantining like we have been as well. And if you look at how low these numbers are, I want to applaud the leadership. in our buildings. I want to applaud the teachers for the work they've been doing. I also want to give a really big hand to our students who've been very compliant and working with us as well. And I don't want to forget you, Nurse, as well.
That's okay, I second that, and I can tell you guys, I mean, I am so proud of our staff and our students, and I know our mitigation strategies are really tough, but as a healthcare worker, I applaud what our district has done. And I applaud our teachers and our principals and our custodians and our food service people. If you look at other districts, I would be very honest, I have districts calling me all the time. I have Port Lavaca's calling me, Victoria's calling me, they're like, what are y'all doing? And I tell them, we have really strict mitigation policies and practices, and we're going to continue with that as long as the board supports that. And I think it's helped us a lot.
And just to,
wrong, Kelly, I do applaud you every single day. I do understand the struggles every day. It is tough. I was just only asking. It is tough. It's tough. And so thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. We really do appreciate you. Thanks a whole bunch.
Mr. President, I just want to go on record. I just happened to be reading an article today that kind of mentioned that we're not having a safe environment in our school, and we can't have in-person school. We absolutely can have in-person instruction. We have not had to shut down not one school because our numbers are not high. So we're going to continue doing the things we're doing with our mitigation strategies. We're going to continue to allow our teachers to provide in-person, appropriate and rigorous instruction for our kids. So just want the public to know that we have a safe environment, and our kids who are with us in person are getting a quality education.
Absolutely.
Well, we were doing amazing, and then Halloween hit and our numbers doubled. You know, I mean, so that doesn't say that our schools aren't safe. That just means people enjoy Halloween.
Would it be safe to say that for a district our size, these numbers are rather low?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, I think, way back.
You look at the percentages, we're very low.
Extremely low. And that's a testament to the job that the school district is doing in mitigation of this disease. And all of the strategies that have been put in place, the efforts by the students, the staff, administration, you, everyone, and we should applaud y'all. And I'm going to do it right now.
Job. Any other questions or concerns?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Bob summed it up nicely. We will now enter a public hearing at 9:01. Public hearing on School First, presenter Rick Johnson. It's just got a signature there.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, I'm excited to bring this report to you. School First is a accountability rating that the TA issues each year, and it actually has a year lag. So this is the accountability rating on the business side. For 2019-20 is the rating date that's based on 2018-19 data. Okay. And the first part of the report is the annual financial management report that I'm required to report to y'all. So the first thing on here is that the verify, and also it is the superintendent's contract, employment contract currently is on the website. Then the next item here is for the year ended 18-19, June 30th, 2019, I need to report to y'all the reimbursements paid by the district to the superintendent and the board members based on position of the board members. So the superintendent for that period of time reimbursed $7,574. Board member one, $3,106. Board member 2, $922. Board member 3, no reimbursement. Board member 4, $903.87. Board member 5, $3,207. Board member 6, $1,257. Board member 7, $3,187. What that represents is basically is the reimbursement for travel for the board members to attend professional development, different conferences. And the reason for the disparity in the differences in the totals is that, for example, board member 1 went to 3 trainings, three conferences, and then board member 2 went to 1 for that current year. How do you, let's see, wait. Shouldn't it go? Where do I, okay, there you go. I don't know, I wasn't pointing right. Anyway, so that in the next items that I'm required to report is was there any outside compensation or fees received by the superintendent for professional consulting services during that period of time, June 30, 2019, and there were none. And then also gifts received by executive officers or board members during that period of time, and there were none value of $250 or more during that period. And also, the next item is business transactions between school district and board members. Are there any business transactions that need to be reported during that period of time? And there were none. Okay, and then there are. Basically, ISD received a district score of 96 of a possible 100 points. Bay City ISD scored a maximum of 13 out of the 15 indicators. The indicators are as follows. And then, so we received the full amount, maximum 10 points on those different indicators. The indicators receiving 8 points was number 6, which is the number of days cash on hand. We're supposed to have, I guess we should have 90 days cash on hand. We had 80.5 days cash on hand at the end of the year. So missed about 1.4 days. And so in the ratio of long-term liability to total assets, we received 8 points for that. But any questions on the school first report? I'm real excited to receive a superior rating for the district received it, not me. So.
Good job. How many years in a row is that?
That's 2 years in a row. We had, previously, the prior year, we missed it by, we were a B. The last 2 years, it's been an A. So, looking forward to it. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions? Thank you. So,
okay. Hearing no other comments or questions, we'll close the public hearing at 9:06. Item of business 8G, discussion and possible approval of repairs to the South Junior High basketball gym. Thomas Culbreth.
we dropped in with the name is. And very well. Yeah. And all we can do it. Was that a report that you needed?
Those listening on YouTube, we're just waiting another minute on the presentation to pull up for someone's email.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to give everyone an update on the current situation of the South Gym at the junior high. An event, 3 things to talk about: floor condition, the outside canopy, and the sidewalks. Over the summer, we don't know the exact time for the event. There's a large concentration of moisture that got under the crawl space of the gym and ruined the floor. 100% of the floor has been cut. The wood planks are cut. We have buckling, 6 to 8 inches high in some areas. We also have one beam failure under the floor that's going to have to be fixed. Currently, the gym is closed. It's too dangerous to walk in right now. We've received a quote from our current contractor that manages all of our floors across the district. Right now, we have a quote, $130,000 to replace the floor. So that includes tearing out and replacing with maple. It does not include painting. It's part of what it's chosen. Do the repainting, and then we'll come back in, restain and seal the surface. To an extent, you could say that some of this could be sanded out. However, the floor is so old, and it's been sanded so many times that it's past the sand life, meaning that the original nails that were used to hold the floor down are now exposed. So you can't sand it because it'll destroy all the sanding pads for you to use. So it's past its sand life. So we are looking at, the option of replacing the floor. We're not doing anything with it. These are just some pictures to show you the current condition. This is the felled beam on the south side. It's dropped about 8 inches, but it's still in well. The other thing is the canopy outside and the covered walkway to the 500 million. About around the time that the old school was being torn down, the school outside of our current Weaver and Jacobs contractors, the school did an abatement project to remove all the asbestos insulation. They came in, tore out the ceiling and soffits, removed the insulation, but the scope of work did not include replacing it. So this is the current condition that you would see if you were to walk up to the front entrance of the gym and the 500 million this time. We do have an estimate on that, about $9,500. One of the other things is that when the school was torn down through Weaver and Jacobs, a section of concrete or sidewalk was removed to the main entrance of the gym. Here at the bottom is the sidewalk coming from Sycamore Street. The sidewalk on the far back is going to the what's now the bus loop in the back. We had put a quote together on replacing that. However, as of this morning, we had a talk with Weaver and Jacobs. It was in their scope of work to tear that out. But with some talking with them, they have agreed to replace that dump bus. So, that's a big savings. The other thing that Rick wanted me to mention on the gym floor, we are inquiring as to whether insurance would look into replacing that floor due to a moisture event. We have contacted the insurance company, and Rick states we'll have a visit from an adjuster pretty soon. So, but again, if insurance says yes or no, I think the question going forward is what is the future of this facility? It's not in use. I think it was in use prior to the floor. The junior high doesn't use this facility. The high school was going to use it to do some side practice. But I wanted to give everyone an update on the current condition of this facility.
How old is that gym?
I believe that gym was built in the late 60s. I know that the auditorium was built in 1962. This may have been built around 65.
And the floors have never been replaced.
Not that I'm aware of.
We're not using the gym for anything right now.
No, it's closed.
Well, it's closed because of the floor.
Right.
Yeah,
So the issue that caused the damage has been fixed or not? The moisture?
we don't know what's caused the event. That is an open pier beam floor, has about a 2-foot crawl space under it. There are several big vents on the side of the building that you could look through and see completely under the floor. You can also see them from the inside. So it's an open air floor. The only thing that we know that may have happened is when the old school was torn down, that is now a retention pond. There may have been an event in the summer where we had a large quantity of rain that brought water back up, but we didn't have anyone here to verify that. We don't know what happened.
And from what it looks like, were you able to determine if the water didn't come from the roof somehow?
No, there were no leaks inside the building. We did look underneath the floor. The ground was still wet. We came in with some probes and did a moisture content check. We still had 40% moisture content between the floor and the subfloor. So we know it came from underneath and rose up. Currently there's not any leaks on the inside of that roof. No.
So, I mean, to your point, to trustee Lieutenant's point, if we go and put $100,000 floor back in here and then the water may rise again, then we're kind of spinning our wheels.
Right.
So we could determine what actually happened. I don't know if we could do that, but
The only thing that I would go to do at this point is bring in a surveyor. What I'm rumored that I'm hearing is that the city ditches are higher than our retention pond. Our retention pond that we had made should drain back into the city ditches. What I'm understanding from other people I've talked to is that city ditches are backflowing into our retention pond.
So I know enough about that because we've been talking about this for a while.
I feel like we've had this discussion.
Yeah, so it's not that retention pond, because that one flows out. It's the one that's near the football stadium to where it's lower, because that one goes out the other end. And I know nothing about drains and all that, but we've talked about this enough to know that the real big one, it goes out another way. So that one's okay. And even if you go out and look after it rains, the really big one, the water, it kind of recedes quickly. But over in the small one by the football field, it's a little slower at this point. And again, that's still a conversation that the mayor and I have had. I guess it's time to have a conversation with the city manager, because we need to, again, and I know that you're new, but Weaver and Jacobs and Claycomb and Associates and the city, we need to figure out somewhere underneath that street whose issue is it, because we still haven't found it out.
No, I would agree. For the building to be there for say 60 years to not have an event like this. There's something that's happened that recently.
Whenever they went back, and we were talking with them, and they said that, you know, the way it drains out and backwards and everything else, you don't want to keep your step. I could have sworn that they went back to that big detention pond, and they reworked that as well, because they said it wasn't up to the specifications that it was supposed to.
That was a small one. I don't remember an issue with the big one.
Okay.
No, we still have Nichols right? With the one that, not the Nichols. Wait a minute. The one on the visitor side of the football stadium. So where it flows out into that ditch across the street, the small one, that's the one that has an issue. The real big one, it flows out it flows out the other end.
I believe that culvert that goes under 12th Street, where it goes into that ditch is several inches higher. The bottom of that culvert is several inches higher than the pipe coming from our detention.
That's the small one. We'll go back and check on the big pond. But I think they put in those little cement, whatever, I don't even know what you call them, things in both of them.
And it was just like Mr. Copeland said, I mean, for it to be there that long, not having any water in it, that caused the buckling and that's.
Is this a building that we want to use for basketball, or do we want to use it for something else? Or, I mean, what is its future? If we want to use it for basketball, then we need to figure the water down before we do anything to it.
Well, that was what I was thinking, was because Bay City Junior High, well, when it was a high school, then it was Bay City Junior High, we always had two gyms. Then, you know, we built a brand new junior high, we built a brand new gym, and we still have the North Gym that's still being utilized, so we still have two gyms. We had three gyms, and now this one's going down, and now we're back to two, which we've always had. So we need to sink the money into that. I think that, to me, when I'm looking at the only way that I would sink money into that is if for some reason the insurance did pay out and said, you know, hey, this was a significant event that's covered under your insurance, I'll take care of it. Other than that,
I think at this point, we're waiting on what the insurance says.
Yes.
And they're just supposed to come contact me. And they should have contacted me today, but they act like they're gonna come before Thanksgiving.
So you have two things. One, you have the insurance, whether or not they'll fix it, but then two, we need to figure out what caused it. And whether or not the board wants to pour that amount of money back into that structure.
Mr. Cole, is that a standing seam roof on that gym, or?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
And is it in good condition, the roof?
I haven't been on that roof. I know that roof should be about the same age as what we're dealing with at the auditorium. Right now, the auditorium roof is deteriorated extremely bad. We're putting quotes together now, replacing it. So I believe that roof is past its prime. I believe that's probably about a 15 to 20-year roof. I know that there was a renovation project on this building in 2000. In which case, that's when they put the canopy out front and put a new roof on it. So, yes, that roof will need to be replaced, I'll say, the next 5 years.
what I'm thinking as well is if we can get a roofer, who was a Rain Key that did the high school, we get them out there just to give us a quote or bid, because usually they don't charge anything like that. They give us a quote or bid for that roof. They can determine whether or not water came into that roof or came in through the roof. Somehow, wind, river, rain, whatever the case is, caused the damage to it.
Well, the deal with the floor is that the entire surface underneath the floor had gotten bad. If we had a leak in the roof, it would have isolated itself to one part of the floor. And we would have had damage to just a small part of the floor. In this particular case, it's the entire floor, which tells me that the entire structure underneath flooded. So the water came in through those vents on the side of the building.
So it did flood.
Yeah, I think it flooded, but I can't, you know, without being here and seeing it, you know, I can't.
But if it flooded, wouldn't it be like
It has 40% moisture, 30 days. between the floor and
the
floor.
Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, the reason why I say that is because I understand where you're coming from, but what I've seen lots of times, where water will come in through the roof, it'll settle, and if the floor that you have is porous, the water will go down into the ground, like you said, it's moist underneath, and there's nothing to keep it from drying underneath, so it's gonna be moist underneath, but on the surface, it'll be dry.
Just one, I want to say this, one of the last things done in this building was back in April. We had that floor stripped and re-waxed and sealed. And no one had been in it since then. So that floor had just been sealed. And we see no evidence where water stood on top of any of the floor, on top of any of the re-wax or poly. We found no indication of that.
And to Trent's comment, did we notice any type of flood margin on the outside of the building or underneath? Like the rising water? No.
I mean, could humidity cause something like that?
Not that bad, no.
I just feel like there's some kind of water line. That was
We had thought that when they tore down the old school that we lost power to this, so maybe the air conditioner wasn't circulating. But after we saw the moisture content that was still there months later, we knew that it was a significant amount of water. One of the things that would have helped is a ventilation system. We've discussed this with some of the companies that these gym floors are supposed to have fans constantly circulate, run underneath. This particular building doesn't even have that. So I will say it's amazing that the floor, has made it 60 years without a ventilation system underneath that hasn't got wet.
So where we stand right now is we just need to wait for the adjuster to come out and determine, because they probably can, they're gonna find a way to determine what the problem is. So I guess that's what we're saying.
Thank you, Tom. Any other board member have any other questions for Tom? Any board member like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that,
You can let it,
yeah.
Would any board member like to make a motion? Hearing none, thank you for the presentation. You can make a motion. You don't have to. Items of business 8H. Approval of updated gifted and talented plan, presenter Lisa Moyer, Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening, board members. Tonight I'm going to present to you actually the state now calls this gifted and talented in advanced academics. Advanced academics meaning programs and services that are provided to our students to enhance their college and career readiness and also their post-secondary preparedness. So you're going to see both gifted and talented in advanced academics this evening. In the new state plan, there are two indicators that we are asked to meet. There's a rubric, and in our gifted and talented plan, the first thing that they ask you to meet is the compliance level. And then, of course, you're striving to be an exemplary program. I can tell you that in our current program that we have designed, we meet all of the indicators for the compliance level. So what I'm going to present to you this evening is what a committee of teachers, administrators, and parents met together to discuss how we can move to the exemplary level. There we go. So our current participation in the program has grown significantly over the last 3 years. We have very strategically tried to increase our enrollment at elementary, and you'll see even through our secondary grades. Right now, in grade 1 through 3, we have 109 students participating out of a total enrollment of 770. And so you can see there that 109 students, I've broken that down for you by ethnicity. And then in the parentheses, you'll see what our enrollment is. We are striving to get our GT population and our advanced academic population participation to mirror our enrollment. I will tell you 3 years ago, we were not anywhere near these levels. So we're continuing to increase our Hispanic population, our African American population, and our economically disadvantaged population. We would like those numbers to be very close to our enrollment ratios. And we're moving in the right direction, and our committee actually came up with additional ideas of how we can continue to move that forward. You'll see in grade 4 through 5, we have 110 students participating out of a total enrollment of 515. So you can see as we get older, our participation is growing. And you'll see our breakdown there by ethnicity. When we get to secondary, you'll see we have 357 students participating. Now, this also includes not only our honors classes, but also our high school credit CTE and CTE programs that are high school credit. So if you look at our total enrollment, that means 42% of our students at Bay City Junior High now participate in at least one of these classes. 62% Hispanic, 14% African American, 20% white, and 75% economically disadvantaged. At Bay City High School, this also includes our dual credit program, and we now have dual credit for CTE classes, which is career and technology education classes. I'm very, very, very proud to tell you we have 396 students participating in at least one of these classes, which is almost 40% of our population. And then you can see the ethnic breakdown and economically disadvantaged breakdown there. So our current elementary program, K through 3, all of our kinder are served through the fall semester. That is a indicator of an exemplary program. Actually, we've been doing that for years. So we were a step ahead there. We serve all kinder, and all kinder students are considered in the program with push-in services with a GT teacher. Then in the spring of their kinder year, we begin assessment and we start pullouts with the GT teacher. Grade 1 through 3, we do pullouts with the GT teacher for about 90 minutes per week. That is the highly touted research-based model in the state of Texas, and is the most widely used model in the state of Texas, pullout. Grade 4 through 5, we serve in a homogeneous classes. We prepare for junior high honors classes and curriculum, and our curriculum is horizontally accelerated. That basically means if they're a 4th grader, they're getting the 4th grade curriculum, but we're expanding the projects, we're expanding the depth and the rigor and the complexity of the curriculum.
As opposed to a vertical, which would be 5th grade and 6th grade material.
Yes, and I'm going to show you that here in a second. When we go to junior high, we have vertically and horizontally accelerated curriculum. So an example of that is our math. In 6th grade, they start exposing them to 6th grade TEKS and some 7th grade TEKS. In 7th grade, those students in honors classes cover the 7th and 8th grade TEKS to prepare them to take Algebra 1, which is a high school course in 8th grade. So that's a little bit different. Our language, arts, science, and social studies is horizontally accelerated for depth and complexity. And I'm very, very proud of that last bullet, that we now offer 10 high school credit courses at Bay City Junior High. So a student leaving Bay City Junior High can go to high school with 10 high school credits if they choose to do so. At Bay City High School, our programming includes honors classes. This was previously called pre-AP coursework. Pre-AP is now copyrighted, but we call it honors class. We also have dual credit coursework, which of course will leads to our associate's degree pathway. Our students can now, our sophomore class, we have 15 students who are on track. If they stay on this track, they will graduate Bay City High School with an associate's degree. We've also added career and technology education degree pathways. Last year was our first class that we graduated EMTs, certified emergency medical technicians. We also have the process technology degree pathway, manufacturing technology, And we are building some other pathways as we go. Health information systems is our next. We've also achieved early college high school designation. Our freshman class this year is our first class. We have 15 students in the early college high school program. They will be on track to graduate with their associate's degree, and that will be paid for. Their tuition, books, they will be first generation college goers. And then, of course, we have our advanced placement coursework, which is our college board classes, AP classes. So moving toward an exemplary program, our committee came up with several things. First of all, we need increased information and awareness session for parents. Last year we had extreme success when we met with our 8th graders. We probably had about 6 8th grade parent meetings open to any parent at all times of days. We met early in the morning, we met after school, we met during the day. We even had parents who missed the meeting, and I met one-on-one with about 6 different parents. So we wanted to make sure that we had maximum participation for those 8th grade parents as we told them about our program going into high school. So that if their kids were interested in challenging the program, we want every student to have that ability to challenge the advanced academic program. So that's what we want to walk down now. We want to increase our parent awareness sessions because we want to reach every parent and give them the opportunity to refer their child for these services. We also want to increase our projects. This is something that an exemplary program looks at, cross-curriculum projects. For example, if we're doing a project in English, language arts, it also applies to what we're studying in math or social studies or science, so that they're higher level critical thinking projects. They're a little bit more long range, and they really focus in on the collaboration skills of our advanced academic students. We're also going to be implementing a nationally normed test as part of our identification process, which is called the MAP test. It's used all across the nation. And also a balanced examination of all assessment data will determine services. This is very new for the state of Texas. Before in our matrix, students had to score in the top 10% of that matrix. Now, the state GT plan says that we can look at those matrix scores, but we can also look at anecdotal data. And if the committee determines that those services are what is most needed for that child, we can place them into that program. We've already kind of been doing that in Bay City because we call our students challenge students. They may not have fallen in that top 10%, but they've demonstrated the ability to handle that coursework, and so we challenge them into the program. Progress and performance needs to be reported more regularly to parents in the critical thinking skills area, so we're going to be working on developing a report for that. And then implementing services to address the social and emotional needs of GT students. Professional development. Our teachers on the committee talked about we need more information to our new teachers when they come into new teacher orientation. We also have moved to, in our district, we provide all of the 6-hour updates. Every teacher has to have 6 hours every year to teach a GT class. And so our academic dean at Bay City High School, Marilyn Mosier Flores, and our GT teacher at elementary, they have become certified. And so our teachers never have to leave our district to get their 6-hour update. They can get it right here every summer. So our next step is the 30-hour initial training. We want to get our people certified to offer that training as well. And then we need to do a better job, our teacher training, recognizing gifted characteristics in students of all cultures and twice exceptional students. We have students that out there that have gifted capabilities that may have maybe in the special education program or may be dyslexic, but they also have gifted characteristics. So we need to do a better job in training and identifying those students. And then parent input, we will be getting annual input from family and community on the identification procedures. And also our GT advisory committee will meet annually to review progress, data, policies, procedures, and make recommendations. In parent involvement, as we talked about, parent awareness meetings focusing on the referral process. And actually, while we have the parents right there as a captive audience, allow them to fill out the referral form at that meeting. I think that's what we have found. Lots of times parents come to the meeting, but then they never follow up with the referral. So we're gonna add that to our process. They're not gonna leave that night until they fill out the referral if they're interested. We're gonna help them fill it out. Increased parent nights. We want to showcase more projects, both to our parents and in the community. The teachers felt that they need some time in the summer to build these project rubrics. How are they going to grade these rubrics? So we're going to build in some staff development time and pay them to work on that. Also expanding our parent meetings. Bay City Junior High dual credit meetings were highly successful last year in drawing a very diverse group of parents interested in challenging students. And so we're going to replicate that in the other grade levels this year. Projects, teachers need more training in rigorous projects. They want to work as a team to develop those across the curriculum and also specify by grade level which projects we're going to do and then build those rubrics in the summer. And then support for students. This is something we're really proud of. We've tried to really think outside the box so that we can support students in challenging our program. Students that normally would not have been in our program. And one of the things we did this year, we had a summer bridge program for our early college high school students. They didn't come to summer school, but they came to summer bridge for 2 weeks. And what our AVID teacher did was they kind of prepared them to take a college class. They helped teach them organization skills. They helped teach them time management skills. All of those soft skills that you need to be successful in an advanced academic class. So we'd like to take that even further, and you'll see we're even considering we'd like to do a summer bridge this year for our 7th graders going into 8th grade Algebra 1 to prepare them for that rigorous experience. We've also expanded our AVID program considerably over the last 3 years. When I came into this position and Dr. Scott got here, we had one AVID class per grade level. And AVID is identifying those students who are first generation college, who did not have a family member in college, who need that extra support system to get them ready for advanced academics. We now have 2 classes in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and now 9th grade. And so next year we will walk that up and we will have 2 classes in 6th through 10th. So we want to continue increasing that, walking it up. And also our committee felt like we need to maybe consider AVID for elementary school as well. So we're going to be exploring that. AVID also has a very strong social and emotional component that would be beneficial for all of our kids. We're also looking at very carefully, we need to monitor grades of our students. Grades below a 70 on any progress report will require parent contact and tutoring intervention. Sometimes we think advanced students don't need tutoring. Well, they do, and they deserve those same services. So we don't want them to just, maybe they slack off that first 6 weeks and we're just not going to kick you to the curb. We want to implement some tutoring and an intervention plan with that parent to try and recoup that grade. Also considering possible screening at the end of 6th grade to add 1 more data point prior to enrollment in 7th grade for honors math. We need to make sure they have those algebraic thinking skills to make sure we can get into Algebra 1 and be successful. Consider a standardized honors contract across the campuses, and then grade monitoring thresholds. One of the things we have to carefully do when we get into those high school courses is make sure our students don't lose credit. So if we've implemented these things and we're providing the tutoring, we need to make sure that at the first and second 6 weeks, they're not teetering below the point where they can't regain credit. And if so, then we just need to give them a furlough and move into a regular class, but then challenge them to move back in the following year. And that concludes the presentation. In your board book, you have a copy of this presentation as well as the actual gifted and talented plan, advanced academics plan. Do you have questions that I can answer for you at this time?
Anybody have any questions?
Ms. Moore, let me ask you a question. I know we're talking about GT, but I just kind of want to get on this last part where it talks about grades below 70 on any progress report require parent contact and tutoring or intervention. What about our online students? How is that working for our online students that are falling behind or?
I can tell you that we are putting the same things in place that we do for our on-campus students. And actually, we're gathering some data for you right now on campus versus virtual students. So our teachers have actually done a variety of things. We've actually had some virtual students come on campus for tutoring. Their parents have decided that they'll come in a small group for tutoring. We've also provided it virtually. But as with any student, whether they're virtual or whether they're on campus, we rely on that parent contact and some type of intervention.
So to your question, Trustee Goodwin, just trying to pay attention to those students who are at home. We've been given some additional support from TEA. And I call it support to say, if we have kids who are struggling at home, who are learning virtually, then the school district can put supports in place, but then also if they continue to struggle, we can mandate that they come to in-person school. I think I sent the team a draft letter that I received from another superintendent. And that's something that we really need to think about. Safety is gonna be number one, obviously, because we want our kids to be safe, but we can't let students just sit at home and fail. You know, I don't think that we're doing our due diligence. Now, again, parents have the option. They bring in medical releases and other things where they can opt out. Well, we're not just gonna say because you wanna go to school virtually, you wanna learn virtually, and you continue to fail, and we put in supports that we're just gonna leave you out there. So the school has the responsibility of educating all of our kids, even in the midst of COVID. I know, again, I said to the team, they would never heard me say this prior to COVID, that safety comes first. Because in actuality, your education comes first. Because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna happen. By all means, we want a safe environment for them, but we can't leave kids at home while they're struggling. So we'll be, I'll share that with the board.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
And I do want to assure you, Mr. DeWitt, the principals actually have been tracking it every 6 weeks. And they right now are tracking their second 6 weeks as well as absences. Kids who are not logging in, they're tracking it very closely.
So they're tracking what? I mean, what are they tracking?
They're tracking their on-campus students, who has been truant, how many have been truant, how many have failed at least one class. And then they're looking at their virtual students also. How many who have missed more than 2 days of virtual logging in, and how many have failed more than one class.
You know, one thing I'd like to say to the board to piggyback on this is we spend a lot of time talking about our kids who struggle. Spend a lot of time talking about the gaps. And obviously we know that we have some of those, but you can see that we're not losing focus for the kids who actually get it. And the kids, not only the kids who get it, but the kids who are advanced and need to continue to be pushed. If you notice also, we're opening up opportunities for all of our kids. Lisa talked about challenging students. So we're gonna have multiple pathways for all of our kids to access the most rigorous instruction that we have to get them ready for it. So I always talk about the floor and the ceiling. As you can actually see, we're raising the foundation and the minimum expectations, but we're also raising the expectations on the other end as well, so we can meet the needs of all of our students.
You mentioned something about the students having their classes and their books and everything paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like just the avid kids, or is that a certain group?
That's specifically our early college high school program. And early college high school designation is designed by TEA. There are some guidelines we have to meet. And in that population of students that applied for that, they are first generation college goers. And our population of our 15 students has to mirror our student population. And also we are looking at students who otherwise would not challenge that program yes. And all of them do receive AVID support as part of that, but not all AVID students necessarily are early college high school. These are the students that we're trying to remove that barrier that would otherwise keep them out of the dual credit program.
But anybody can take any of the same classes that they're taking.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody at Bay City High School, as long as the state says you have to pass that TSI test. And by the way, we are now a TSI testing site. We provide it free to every one of our students as many times as they need to take it. and we provide free tutoring to any student at Bay City High School. So once they pass that test, any student at Bay City High School can enroll in a dual credit program.
I know that we stand out in our area for this specific area. It probably has a lot to do with your work in that. So I appreciate it. I know I have a senior this year that's gonna graduate as like 30-something hours of college
That's
credit.
awesome.
So, I mean, some of this stuff is just starting, but you've laid the foundation for a long time.
Any other questions that I can answer for you tonight? Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the updated gift and talent plan presented by Ms. White.
Motion was made by trustee DeWitt.
I'll second.
Second was made by trustee West. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. Cleapack?
Yes.
Robinson? DeWitt?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Scarnama, yes. West? Yes. The motion passes 7-0. Moving on, actions item 8I, approval of the consent agenda. Item 1, approval of minutes of the previous meetings. A, the October regular board meeting from October 19th, 2020. 2, approval of the October 2020 financial report. Is there any item that any board member would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion is made by trustee Cleapack. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Tenon. Take a voice vote. Cleapack?
Yes.
Robinson? DeWitt?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yeah.
Tenon?
Yes.
Scarnama, yes. West?
Yes.
Motion approved 7-0. Item 9, superintendent's report. Dr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item A, we can review the statements from Clayton and Associates in your report book. You'll also see item B, the resignations. Item C, we won't have a meeting, a board meeting in December. Next board meeting will take place on Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. And communication, I just want to publicly thank trustee Cole and trustee Mann for their years of service here on the school board. Really appreciate their support, and I wish them well in their future endeavors. I want to congratulate our newest trustees who are here with us, trustee West and trustee Robinson. Really look forward to working with you all, continuing to move the district forward and building on our becoming the best team of eight that we possibly can. Maybe one of the best, not only in the state of Texas, but maybe in the United States as well. Last but not least, I want to wish everyone in the room and online a happy Thanksgiving from my family to the entire Bay City ISD family and the community as well. Hope you all take some time off. Absolutely, teachers and employees, you deserve it. All of your hard work, the adjustments that you've actually made during this most difficult, unprecedented time, it's just a testament to the commitment that we have, not only in the school community, but in the community as a whole. And again, I wish everyone the best of holidays, get as much rest as you possibly can, and enjoy time with your loved ones. Mr. President, that concludes my statement for this board meeting.
Thank you. I'd also like to echo that sentiment. I've learned a lot from Jerry Manning and Frankie Cole over the last year and a half, and so it was an honor to serve with them. And welcome trustee Robinson and trustee West. You made it through your first board meeting, and there's many more to come and a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of time involved in this. So anything for the good of the group, any board member like to make a comment? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by trustee DeWitt, seconded by trustee West. Voice vote, Cleapack.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Tenon. Yes. Scarnama, yes. West. Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Meeting is adjourned.